Welcome back to Just In Case channel. Let us distinguish remedial law and substantive law. Substantive law refers to the body of rules that determine the rights and obligations of individuals and collective bodies. It defines the legal relationship between individuals or between individuals and the state, as well as the rights and duties that arise from those relationships. Substantive law establishes the legal basis for claims and defenses. It answers the question of whether a particular act or omission is a legal wrong or right, and what the consequences are. Substantive law in the Philippines is primarily created by the legislative branch of government, known as the Legislative Department, which consists of two chambers, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Congress enacts laws that define rights, duties, and obligations of individuals and entities. Examples of substantive laws include the Revised Penal Code, the Civil Code, the Corporation Code, and many more. Substantive law also includes provisions found in the Philippine Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. The Constitution establishes fundamental rights and principles that guide the legal system. On the other hand, remedial law, also known as procedural law, consists of the rules that prescribe the methods and means by which substantive rights are enforced. It answers the question of how a lawsuit should proceed, how evidence should be presented, and how the court should handle various procedural matters. The power to promulgate the rules of court is exclusively vested in the Supreme Court of the Philippines. This authority is granted by the 1987 Philippine Constitution, specifically under Article 8, Section 5, Paragraph 5, which states that the Supreme Court has the power to promulgate rules concerning the protection and enforcement of constitutional rights, pleading, practice, and procedure in all courts, the admission to the practice of law, the integrated bar, and legal assistance to the underprivileged. This is popularly known as the rule-making power of the Supreme Court. Now, what happens if a conflict between remedial law and substantive law arises? When there is a conflict between remedial law and substantive law, the Supreme Court has consistently held that substantive rights should prevail over procedural rules. This principle is rooted in the belief that procedural rules are meant to serve justice, not to frustrate it. For better understanding, let us visit a couple of Supreme Court decisions. First stop, Sebastian v. Morales, GR number 141116, February 17, 2003. In this case, the Supreme Court emphatically ruled, under Rule 1, Section 6 of the 1997 Rules of Civil Procedure, liberal construction of the rules is the controlling principle to effect substantial justice. Thus, litigations should, as much as possible, be decided on their merits and not on technicalities. This does not mean, however, that procedural rules are to be ignored or disdained at will to suit the convenience of a party. Procedural law has its own rationale in the orderly administration of justice, namely, to ensure the effective enforcement of substantive rights by providing for a system that obviates arbitrariness, caprice, despotism, or whimsicality in the settlement of disputes. Hence, it is a mistake to suppose that substantive law and procedural law are contradictory to each other, or, as often suggested, that enforcement of procedural rules should never be permitted if it would result in prejudice to the substantive rights of the litigants. Litigation is not a game of technicalities, but every case must be prosecuted in accordance with the prescribed procedure so that issues may be properly presented and justly resolved. Hence, rules of procedure must be faithfully followed, except only when for persuasive reasons. They may be relaxed to relieve a litigant of an injustice not commensurate with his failure to comply with the prescribed procedure. Concomitant to a liberal application of the rules of procedure should be an effort on the part of the party invoking liberality to explain his failure to abide by the rules. Next, BCC versus Macara Egg, GR number 198357, December 10, 2012. The court underscored, to be sure, the relaxation of procedural rules cannot be made without any valid reasons proffered for or underpinning it. To merit liberality, petitioner must show reasonable cause, justifying its non-compliance with the rules, and must convince the court that the outright dismissal of the petition would defeat the administration of substantial justice. The desired leniency cannot be accorded absent valid and compelling reasons for such a procedural lapse. We must stress that the bare invocation of the interest of substantial justice line is not some magic wand that will automatically compel this court to suspend procedural rules. Procedural rules are not to be belittled, let alone dismissed simply because their non-observance may have resulted in prejudice to a party's substantial rights. Utter disregard of the rules cannot be justly rationalized by harping on the policy of liberal construction. Conclusion. In the Philippine legal system, substantive law and remedial law serve distinct but complementary functions. Substantive law defines rights and obligations, while remedial law provides the mechanisms for enforcing those rights and obligations. When conflicts arise between the two, the Supreme Court prioritizes substantive justice over procedural technicalities. The overarching principle is that procedural rules are meant to facilitate the fair and just resolution of disputes, and they should not be applied in a manner that undermines the substantive rights of the parties involved. At any rate, to warrant a liberal application of the rules of procedure, there should be an effort on the part of the party invoking liberality to explain his failure to abide by the rules. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep bringing you awesome content. See you in the next video.